Even sometimes the Samaritans would try to, come into the worship, but they would always, Israelites would always push the Samaritans away, saying, no, you are not a part of us. You are not a part of us. And understand that we have some, in our lives, we have separation in our lives. Maybe there's this group, and we look at this group, and we know their history, and we know that this group of people is not like ours. It's not us. It's an other. Now, if I was to tell you, specifically with deaf, and we're talking about grassroots deaf or hard of hearing, they don't blend, do they? Not always. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I love her expression over there. No. Hard of hearing says, you just think about ASL. Look at that language. It's like an attitude. You think it's better than us. And then they start speaking. Speaking. Now watch. Deaf women see they're speaking. Oh, you think you're better than us because you can talk where we don't. And so you come back and forth and bicker with each other. Are you familiar with that bickering? Not all, of course, but some, there's that awkwardness. It doesn't come together smoothly. It's like that awkwardness intuitively. Or the voice behind the voice. They are not us. That concept of other. They're not part of us. They're different. They can go into the mainstream school. We go to the residential school. Residential school is where you're supposed to go, But then yet the hard of hearing community says, oh, that's like animals. They just got their son. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come here and just, do my little signing, and their expression. Look at their expression, and you see the different sides. No, that's not my culture. Do you know what I'm saying? You're arguing back and forth, and then what happens when you bring it into church? You've got their songs, your ASL songs, and I don't understand ASL. You may have hear someone say, and it's like ASL is ASL. And sometimes they want to add the word of English, so you can understand it better. It's like, what? Back and forth, these comments continue. But notice that argument, that struggle. Is that a mask? Let's go back to this and see what happened. Now the Samaritan. Now remember the Israelites, the priest, the Levite. And now we're to the Samaritan. So he saw and had compassion. Compassion he felt for the man before him. And he couldn't move on. He couldn't pass this man. He had to stop. He had to stop. And what did he do? He bound his wounds. He stopped the bleeding. How long had the man been there? For quite a while, we know that. His skin became hard. You can imagine the sun baking the wound. But here, look at what he did. He took oil and wine and rubbed it into the wound. And then he carried him. Now, okay, let's go back. Now, I'm just curious. What kind of car does your car look like? Is it an SUV? How many of you have SUVs? Yeah, okay, let me see. Okay, how many of you have just a car, an everyday car, like sedan? Do you have cars? Okay, now, is your car, is it clean? Is it pretty? Not so much. She goes, ah. So, what about, you need a new one? What about over here? What does your car look like? Think about it. Who has a new car? I want to talk about a new car. Oh, who wants a new car? She wants a new car. Now, are you pleased with your car? You like your car? Are you content with your car? Who's content with their car? I want to see. Oh, who wants a new car? Okay. Now she goes, I'm really thinking. Now imagine. Okay, here you are in your car, and you see a body laying off to the side, and you are moved, right? And you got to take him to emergency, him or her. So you stop, you get out, you walk around, and you see Just like with Sharon, sweet Sharon over there. Just like the Samaritan here, they want to help, right? And they want to, and you go to lift them up, and they've got blood all over them, and you're going to put that blood into your car? Are you going to do that? Well, she goes, well, I have to. Now, listen. Some of the women are getting embarrassed over there. Look at her. Oh, she's so cute. She's so embarrassed by me asking her questions. I love it. Okay. I love her. She's going like, what do you mean? I would have to answer. What would I do? Yeah, you have to answer. What would you do? You got a brand new car. What? What's over here? She's printing. She goes, oh, I'm putting newspaper all around. Just hold on, let me get some newspaper. But I don't want it to drop on the new leather or the new carpet or, these blood spots. Now think about this, ladies. Think about this. Because with good reason. Because once you have a blood stain, I know what that is. No, wait a minute. That's you going to have a wrong idea. Just come on. But let's look at this. I understand what you're saying, right? That's right. But listen. The Samaritan got onto the man. He got him onto his animal, his vehicle, right? He didn't care how much blood was going to be in his vehicle. He didn't say, well, let me figure out how far I'm going to take you. No, he brought him to the inn. And he says, I am going to be back in a day or so. If I owe you more, he had the silver coins. He was trying to figure out. Let's see, what does it say here? Denarii. Now, one coin was like 1 day's worth, if we could go there. Are you with me? So it was worth the care of 1 day, but he gave him 2 coins. That's like 2 days' worth. And he said, here, do whatever he needs to take care of him. I will pay. Now let's do the math together. No, I'm not going to ask you how much it cost. Don't worry about that. But for here, suppose, 2018, what are our wages? Think of our wages. Does anybody want to share? Maybe $15 an hour do we earn? $11 an hour do we earn? $10 an hour we earn? Looking on the internet, the average is $11 an hour this morning. That's in California, earning. California's earnings. And she goes, wow. So, between 11 and 15, but imagine. So let's say that it was 8 hours. 8 hours worth of care. Let's add up just 15 times 8 hours. How much is that? Who's my mathematician in here? 200, around 200. Let's say an average of 200, 120, 120. Okay, we have 120. Okay. 125, 105, 105. Are you with me? We're talking about a day's wage. We're talking about 120. Okay, let's just use 120, all right? Then there was another day. So 2 days is how much? 240. Let's just say he goes here, not a coin like it was in the olden days, but he gave him $240. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how much money you earn? And then, it's like you got a good job, you're gonna have it, like whatever, for whatever reason, you're not going to like go rob a bank to get money or anything like that, but you're trying to put your money into savings or save your money, and then now you got a different thought. And you're going, okay, let's look at the next slide. Now Jesus asked the lawyer, which of these 3, let me look at this, hold on 1 second. Who of these 3 proved to be the neighbor? Who was the neighbor? Who showed the compassion? And he said, yes. As the Samaritan showed compassion, so do you. And so the lawyer was like, I have to do that. The lawyer was an established man. And Jesus liked to shake the foundation of people's minds, didn't he? Can you imagine that? And many of us have our established ways, our established rules. This is what we do or what we don't do. I don't do that. No, I don't do that. But, I won't have anything to do with that. I'm on the norm. And Jesus liked to rock our boats, right? What we think is right is no longer right. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes, when life just shakes us up, sometimes it takes a while for us to make sense out of what this confusion has caused. And maybe the lawyer felt that struggle, that internal struggle. It's like it wasn't an easy answer, Jesus, just rocked his mind. He goes, now I feel lousy. Now I can't sleep at night. Now, I got all of these thoughts. How do I do this? How do I be the neighbor? How do I? What were his thoughts? It didn't put that in the word, but we can imagine. You can be in that lawyer's shoes. You can be in that, what just happened, Jesus knows our mind. And also knows our blocks. Jesus knew what he was wanting to do. And I'm sure there's a lot of us, and many times, we think we're going to get the answer, and the answer is so different, and it takes us weeks to tweak and understand what that means for us and fit our belief. Sometimes we have our list. This is what's right, this is not right, and Jesus goes, is that what you believe? That stinks. Ladies, your beliefs don't always help you. Look at this. No, Jesus would say, let's back up. What am I thinking? And so like the lawyer was saying, you want me to be different? That's what we need to check into. What do you think about my list? What do you think about, I got to change again? I got to make shifts? Sometimes when we're reading the Word, don't you have that impact? The Word touches your soul and it tells you something. And it's like, have you had that struggle? Have you had that experience? And if you had not had that quickening of the soul, oh, ladies, sometimes it doesn't feel so good. And if you feel that shake up, that mental, that's good. You're in the process of that revelation in your life that will keep your heart, just open. And you know how much God loves us. Yes? Sometimes we'll reach out and give God our cares and concerns. I think that's our list, you know what I mean? It's supposed to look like this, this, and this. And we tell him what we think, how he should think God. And then maybe God says, who put the planets? Mars and Jupiter and Venus. Oh, who put the planets in order? Who did that? Who made the earth evolve around the sun? Who commanded that? And I get quiet. God says, who named every star? And I feel like, not worthless, don't misunderstand me, but I feel small. Like, God is huge. And I say, God, I think God may have forgotten something, so I'm going to help God. Hey, God, you see this? I think you can do it. Hey, God, no, look at this, God, look at this, God. And then God will start asking me questions, and the smallness is revealed. God doesn't need my help. God knows what's going on. So when I come in my humbleness and say, God, and allow my soul to be quivered, to allow my soul to be broken, and that's like with the lawyer. The lawyer came and shriveled before God and said, oh, and the lawyer's experience, let's see what the next slide says. It all started with compassion. That heartfelt compassion. When the Samaritan came, the others, the priest, the Levite, their hearts were hard. They didn't care. I mean, it's just like so easily they saw the differences between themselves and the other. And then they might say, you know what? I'm tired of serving the world. I'm just tired. Who's tired here? There's a lot of us tired. I'm just tired of serving the world. And some, have burnout. We just don't have energy left to serve anymore. It's like, do it, whatever. I mean, I'm just like, whatever. I mean, I'll take care of my family. I'm working full time. I've got all these things that I've got to do on me. And you ask me to serve? The church says, I need this or I need that. And we're like, yeah, okay, fine, go ahead. But if there's no touching or conviction, some people are like, well, Phil, what? What's wrong with you, I help and you guys just watch, and then you go and you don't do anything. And I'm just like, it's not, I don't feel like it's real Christian love here because people don't care, and yet we think about, well, wait a minute, I got enough, don't judge me. I do, I have all these needs, I do too. I have, I focus on taking care of things, don't judge me. I gotta go home and rest and take care of what I need to take care of. And then look at these two camps. Where's the compassion? Now understand, when we have that conviction, where's that conviction from? Yes, it's from the heaven. We'll talk about that. Let's look at this slide over here. Next slide. Thank you. And it's a repeat. The Samaritan felt compassion. That's the key. I don't need to go through the whole story again. Let's look at the next slide. The next slide. Now, this could be like with the wine and the oil. It has such a rich meaning. The wine, why did he use wine? What was that for? He poured wine on the men's body. Why? Remember the Good Samaritan? She knows the answer. She saw this later. The wine, the alcohol and the wine, to purify. Who has used it like this aromatic, oil? How many of you have? Maybe like only 3/4 of us. There's maybe like 2 bottles. I have 2 bottles at home. And this oil, do you know what I'm talking about? She goes, I don't know how to use it. It's like, it's like you got to put it on your body and, it's like OCD. There's one oil that we put on and it cleanses infections. Before remember before the red iodine that we would use? Remember how that would cleanse and, but you put it on, it's like, but the mom would say, come here, and you're going, I don't want you to do it, it's gonna burn. Remember that kind of ointment? But then you put a Band-Aid on it, so everything is better and your wound is clean. You remember how you would clean your wound? It would kill the infection. Remember that iodine? But it would hurt. Do you remember? It would hurt, it would burn. And it's the same thing as like the alcohol oils that we might, when you put it on, it might burn, but the point is the healing in that oil. And then we have the topical disinfectant, killing infection, bacteria, all of that. It's just like he poured the wine to kill the infection. And then remember also the skin was dry from the sun baking the wound. And so he also used the oil to cover and protect against the elements. And so that no more bacteria would be able to penetrate the wound. And also to soften the skin so that the skin could come together and heal. If it was shriveled and dry, it couldn't heal. So we had to get it to be soft. And it was important, those two things. It was important for the body's healing.